the boy jumps down directly from a cliff, diving from a height of 32,808 feet at a speed of 262.47 feet per second, like a literal flying man in the air. The boy then opened the flying equipment he carried with him. But after just 2 seconds of flying, a giant condor fixed its gaze upon the boy, despite the boy tried his best to evade it. The condor, being the lord of the sky that it is, refused to give the boy any room to breathe, and grasped him with its claws, even after the boy managed to break free from the claws. The condor immediately followed in pursuit with a speed of 328 feet per second. Having no other choice, the boy chose to turn the direction of flying and dive further down, and when the condor was about to catch him, the boy dived straight into the waterfall next to him. Finally managed to evade the condor, if only temporarily. Just when he thought he could finally take a moment for a breath of relief, the condor caught up with him once again. The boy was smashed on his head and passed out. When he woke up, he was shocked by what he saw. The boy suddenly wakes up, and to his shock, he finds that baby eagles were about to eat him. Thank God that they are merely fledglings newly out of their shells. He immediately grabbed his weapon and prepared to leave, only to notice the approaching of several smilodons from above him and from below the tree. Then Mother Condor suddenly returned and started to fight against those smilodons. One of the smilodons is a crafty one. It sneaks into the nest and swallows up a baby eagle immediately. Grabbing his weapon, the boy starts to defend the other baby eagles from the smilodon. When the beast rushes toward him, he cleverly drives it out of the nest, but another one comes immediately. With a menacing stare, the beast was about to attack the boy, only for the Mother Condor to show up in time and drag it out of the nest, and threw it down from the high altitude. And when another beast comes, the boy cleverly noticed a loosened part of the nest. So when the beast jumps towards him, the boy also jumped, and smashed his weapon on the beast's head, breaking open the nest and dropping the beast on the ground. When the boy comes back down to the earth, he finds that the condor is wailing. Her children had all perished in the fighting. Such is the world of cruel nature, where the weak perish and the strong prevail. Realizing that the boy had tried his best to protect her children, the Mother Condor decided to let the boy go free, and the boy continues his journey into the forest. His name is Kitai, and the tribulations he has to face are far from over. Kitai's uniform suddenly turned black. Turns out it was due to this monkey who decided to suddenly show up in front of him. Kitai grabbed a stone and threw it at the monkey. Feeling threatened, the monkey immediately called his friends to attack Kitai. Kitai has no choice but to flee, but the monkeys refuse to let him go that easy. They pursue him closely through the trees. Just when they were about to catch Kitai, he quickly jumped into the river ahead of him, an act that somehow stopped the monkeys' pursuit of him. Why do the monkeys stop their pursuit? After all, it was not as if they couldn't swim. Was there something horrible in the river? Before he could run any further, Kitai becomes extremely exhausted. Kitai suddenly found himself unable to breathe, and the color of his uniform changed into that of white. After checking, he realized that it was due to a leech who was biting on his left hand. Such is the reason why the monkeys dared not follow him into the river, despite Kitai managing to quickly get rid of that leech. The poison the leech carries has already been injected into his body. Very soon, Kitai's face becomes almost as swollen as that of a pig, and his sight blurs. Opening his first aid kit, Kitai immediately injected a dose of serum into his heart, but it was not enough. He needed a second shot. By now Kitai could barely feel his own hand, so much so that he couldn't even grab the syringe that was right in front of him. He was dying, but then he suddenly thought of a way. He crushes his body onto the syringe, and using his body force, the serum is finally injected into him. Kitai passed out cold, and when he woke up again, it had already been 5 hours. Why is he alone in this dangerous jungle? Well, here's how it happened. In the future, due to the severe damage that was done to the Earth, humanity has to exodus to planet Nova Prime. To resist humanity, the local aliens unleashed a vicious type of monster, Ursas, upon humanity. Although it has no visual ability, it is capable of sensing through fear, and it uses that to hunt humanity. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed. It was then a hero came. He who single-handedly killed 1,000 Ursas, almost as if the Ursas couldn't detect him at all. It turns out that those who know no fear are virtually invisible to the Ursas. This hero man is none other than Kitai's father. He became the head of an elite corps of fighters, the Rangers. Join the Rangers. Attacking and finishing off all Ursas has since become the dream of every young man. Kitai trained himself with diligence. He was even 10 seconds faster than his father when it came to long-distance running. Yet still, he failed to be selected as a ranger. This led to some friction in his relationship with his father. To train him better, his father decides to bring Kitai along for an escort mission. Kitai was very curious about everything on the spaceship they boarded. Seizing a moment when his father wasn't paying attention to him, he sneaked away to a forbidden zone on the spaceship. This holes-covered giant ball is not to be touched. The soldier who stands beside it tells Kitai that this ball is none other than an Ursa. a beast that can kill 1,000 humans on its own. Although it has no eyes, it is capable of sensing people through their fears. Due to his lack of courage, Kitai's fear was sensed by the Ursa the moment he approached it. As the Ursa screams, Kitai was scared backward. That was when Kitai's father noticed the abnormal situation outside the spaceship. Hence he ordered Kitai to sit back in his seat. As Kitai's father comes to the control room, he finds that their spaceship is facing a storm of asteroids, and is hence shaking violently. Although they managed to escape through a wormhole, the spaceship was still heavily damaged. Having no other choice left, they chose to force land on Earth. Just when he was trying to reassure Kitai, the spaceship suddenly split apart. When Kitai wakes up, he finds that their spaceship is now a pile of debris. Every other crew member lay dead. Only Kitai and his father had somehow survived. Worse still, Kitai's father's legs are wounded and thus prevent him from walking. And the main beacon for firing a distress signal is damaged, and the backup beacon is located in the tail section of the ship. With their spaceship destroyed, it's now up to the boy to find the backup distress beacon. Kitai's father suited Kitai up and gave him a piece of digital visual equipment so that he could guide Kitai from a distance. Carrying on with the hope of survival, Kitai started his journey on this strange land. Once he climbed through a cliff, Kitai witnessed an Earth that was devoid of human influence. It now looks nothing like it once did. Nowadays, all creatures on Earth have mutated. The air reeks of toxins. Only through a fluid that enhances oxygen intake can humans survive here. After performing an emergency surgery on himself, Kitai's father started to guide Kitai remotely despite his pain. During the long journey, Kitai had to use one of the breathing fluids, but during the chase of monkeys, several of those capsules of the fluids he carried were damaged. Now he had only 2 of them left, but in order to finish his mission, Kitai decides to hide this from his father. Following the route, Kitai soon reached a cliff. By now, his father also noticed the fact that Kitai was not telling the truth about his breathing fluids. After analyzing the available data, father realizes that the only way for Kitai to finish the mission is to jump down the cliff. Worrying for his safety, father ordered Kitai to abandon the mission and go back to the spaceship. Kitai, however, thinking back to how his sister was brutally murdered by Ursa when he was younger, while he can do nothing but watch from behind the protection force field. To this day, the guilt still plagues Kitai. He refuses to be a coward anymore. The boy shouted, "I am no coward." He then jumped straight down from the cliff. During the flight, he was caught by a condor and was brought to its nest. When he wakes up again, the nest is attacked by a horde of smilodons. Using his weapon to fight against them, Kitai managed to throw a smilodon out of the nest while the condor throw off another one. Kitai then noticed that the ground of the nest is unstable. Seizing this chance, he jumps into the air and hit a charging smilodon on the head, smashing it back to the ground. But despite he and the condor successfully get rid of all the attacking smilodons, all the baby eagles were killed. Kitai pushes forward while the condor keeps lurking above him. After drinking the last of his breath fluid, Kitai built himself a simple raft so that he could save his time by traveling through the waters. After 2 days of traveling, Kitai is utterly exhausted and falls asleep on his raft. When he wakes up again, he finds that the river is freezing quickly. Kitai immediately jumps ashore. The Earth after the exodus of humanity is extremely cold. So much so that Kitai's uniform has turned white again. This sudden shift from summer to winter takes a great toll on Kitai's body. Couldn't take it anymore. He passed out, only to sense that there was something dragging him. It was already the next morning when Kitai woke up again. After he hastily crawls out into the open, he finds, to his surprise, that it was that mother condor who had been shielding him from the cold with its own body. It has been following Kitai, so that it may repay his kindness. Sadly, it gives its own life to protect Kitai. Kitai pressed on with his journey and finally reached the tail section of their spaceship. There he immediately finds 2 more capsules of breathing fluids to juice him up. After he got his weapon, Kitai found, to his surprise, that the Ursa was nowhere to be found. He then managed to find the distress beacon and send the SOS signal, but received no reply at all. Turns out, signals can only be broadcast off the planet at a much higher position. Kitai then rushes to the mountaintop. Along the way, he finally found out the fate of some of his teammates. They were all killed by the Ursa. Kitai was severely frightened by the sight, and the Ursa was lured to him again due to his fear. Never allow yourself to be careless, for the monster could be right beside you. Despite trying his best to check his surroundings very carefully, Kitai was still jumped upon by the Ursa, who attacked Kitai viciously. When Kitai tried to behind a stone, the Ursa simply broke the stone apart with its brute force. With a single howl, Kitai was pushed into the underground river. Following the dim light ahead of him, Kitai slowly climbed upward. Then the Ursa suddenly comes again and tightly bites upon Kitai's leg. At this crucial moment, Kitai pressed a button on his stick, enabling it to grow longer. The now longer stick stuck itself between 2 stones, allowing Kitai to get the Ursa off his feet. Daring not to dally any further, Kitai pressed upwards. The Ursa tried to attack him once again. It was only 2 centimeters from Kitai's knees. But it was missed. Finally reached the mountaintop. Kitai signaled the distress beacon. And after several tries, it finally worked. It was at this moment that danger once again caught Kitai. The Ursa suddenly bit Kitai and threw him off to 30 feet away. With 2 broken ribs, Kitai couldn't move at all. At this crucial moment, Kitai suddenly recalled what his father told him. Of how he managed to overcome his fear. In short, fear is not real. It is nothing but the creation of our imagination. Allowing himself to focus, Kitai managed to do the impossible. The Ursa walks past him without noticing him at all. He has finally overcome his fear. Kitai then grabbed his weapon and sliced down one of the Ursa's legs. With an angry roar, the Ursa spit at Kitai. Trying to attack him with its thick sputum, Kitai managed to evade that deftly and jumped onto the Ursa's back. Before stabbing both of his blades deeply into the beast. Enraged by the pain, the Ursa rushes forward to the cliff, determined to take Kitai down with it. But with a further stab of its head, the beast was finally killed, and Kitai had finally proved himself worthy to be a ranger. Kitai's father witnessed his struggle with the Ursa on the screen. He was very proud of his son. With the SOS signal sent, Nova Prime immediately dispatched help to save them both. When Kitai's father saw his son again, he stood up and saluted him, and Kitai hugged his father. At this moment, the rift between father and son is gone for good. The end. The name of this movie is After Earth. Question here: do you think humanity would move to live on other planets in the universe 1,000 years in the future? Comment 111 if you think so. Comment 222 if you don't think so. Kitai may be young, but he was extremely brave when faced down with that vicious Ursa. After this experience on Earth, he certainly will become an amazing ranger. Feel free to watch the original movie if you are interested. Here it is for today. Remember to leave kudos and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye.